It's important to get communication right. Today we're going to talk about effective communication. It's Gabrielle with your Power Couple Relationship Tip. This is in reference to a past video that I did recently on the 3 stages of relationship, and that stage number 2 that I referenced, where we talked about how you can get into an argument with your partner that tends to either make or break the relationship. Now, if you like what you are learning in these videos, please remember to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and you can leave me your comments and questions in the section below. And you can also go to thepowercoupleformula.com for lots of great information about building the relationship you want. As a couples therapist, the #1 complaint I hear in my office is we don't communicate well. That's what brings most couples into therapy. And as I talked about in one of my recent videos, there's a certain point in any new relationship where couples are going to get into their first argument. So communicating effectively is something that if you get it right from the start, you can save yourself so much heartache, and you can really start to build the sort of foundation that you and your partner need in order for the relationship to survive for the long term. So let's get down to brass tacks here. What is ineffective communication? Well, that's things like criticizing each other, being defensive with each other, being contemptuous with each other, fighting all the time with no repair, and certainly things like abuse and neglect. And when couples act in those ways toward each other, it kills the relationship. Relationships will not survive over time if you and your partner are treating each other in any of those ways, because it's too taxing on the immune system. It's too taxing on the nervous system. It is going to burn you guys out. Take this seriously. You can't just talk to each other any old way you want and expect to have a great relationship. You guys have to make sure that you're taking care of the way in which you communicate with one another if you want the relationship to make it. Right off the top, effective communication means that when anything is disrupting the flow between you and your partner, anything at all, it's important that you bring it up and you talk about it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is that something's bugging them in the relationship, and instead of bringing it out in the open so they can address it, they stuff it, they bottle it up. And that never works, because what happens over time is when people bottle stuff up, they can only hold it for so long, and at a certain point, it all comes out in this massive explosion, or they end up acting out all of that resentment and hostility in some other way, sort of under the table, so to speak. So you know what I'm talking about when I mean bottling it up, like biting your tongue, swallowing your words. You just don't go there because you know that it's not going to go well. And so couples need to know that they actually can talk about absolutely everything of importance, even the really difficult stuff, and that nobody is going to get killed. So if you guys are behaving in ways that are threatening to each other, that is going to shut the communication down and make both of you feel like it's not okay to bring up the important issues. Agreeing to make your relationship a safe space where there is no threat and that you can both bring up whatever is on your mind and be met with a sensitive, open response is critical to the success of your relationship. Now, it's really hard to use effective communication, especially when you come from a family where you didn't see people using effective communication, where you saw a lot of ineffective communication. And so these are new skills that you're going to need to internalize in order to be able to turn the tide here. And it is going to take some time. Effective communication basically has to do with being able to state what you need in an open, truthful way, but in a way that also is respectful of your partner at the same time. So one of the ways that we do that is by using a technique called the soft startup. And that's a term coined by marriage researcher Dr. John Gottman, who looked into what does make relationships work for the long haul. And one of the things he found was that when partners need to bring up difficult material with each other, it really helps when people start with a soft startup, which means saying something that makes your partner feel loved or respected, or something that creates a positive change in your partner's state before you give them the difficult piece of information. So a lot of us are familiar with this idea of the sandwich, where you have a positive and then a negative and then you end with a positive. It's kind of that type of idea. So when you present what you need your partner to hear, they're going to be so much more open to what you have to say, because you've done something to take care of them first, and that's actually going to prepare them to hear what it is that you need. So for example, honey, I really appreciate how much you've been working on keeping the house clean. And there's just this one little thing that would make such a difference, is if you could just remember to put your socks in the hamper in the morning. That would be huge for me. Thank you, I love you. Something like that. You noticed I had the positive followed by the request, and then I ended with a positive. Now this is really important, because it turns out that the brain actually has a negativity bias. So our brains are actually always scanning the environment for anything that sounds threatening to us. And that's one of the ways that we learn to survive hundreds of thousands of years ago, when we were being chased by wild animals. We had to be very, very sensitive to anything on the horizon that might be dangerous to us. And unfortunately, that part of the brain that scans the horizon for threat like that is the same part of our brain that gets activated in intimate relationship when we feel like our partner is doing something that feels threatening to us. And that's why we have to take this issue of how we present negative information to our partner seriously. So you don't want your partner to get you confused with the pack of wild wildebeests on the horizon who are stampeding you. You want your partner to remember that you're the one who loves them, and that you put the relationship above any sort of problem that the two of you have. Because don't forget that just because you guys are fighting or you're upset with each other doesn't mean that you stop being friends or you stop being lovers. And that's the number one mistake that people make in my practice, is that when they're fighting, it's as though they don't like each other anymore. And you can't act that way and expect that things are going to last between you. They're not. So here's what power couples do. They remember at all times that we are friends first, and we're lovers, and when we're upset with each other, that doesn't change. We still act that way. So use your soft startup when you have to say something difficult, and remember to take care of each other even when you're upset. If you liked what you learned in this video, please hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment below about how you've used the soft startup, and give this a like. And please go to thepowercoupleformula.com for lots more information about how to build a fantastic relationship. And I'll see you in the next video.